Morena koutou. Welcome to my channel, Rongoā Live with Joanne. I'm Joanne Hakaraia Olsen. Today's video is about the sound of plants. But before we get into the content of the video, let's take 3 deep breaths together. First thing in the morning. Ha ki roto. Ha ki waho. Ha ki roto. Ha ki waho. Ha ki roto. Ha ki waho. Beautiful. There is nothing like breathing together. So today's video is about the sound of plants. Do plants have a sound? What is their sound? How can we hear their sound? So if we look at MAURI, let's look at MAURI, or the life force of a plant. We know that the life force or MAURI has a vibration. It has a vibration. It's an essence. So life force is like an essence, or it really can't be described, but something similar would be like an essence or a breath, a life force, and it is, and it's one of the terms that you could use is that it's like a vibration. Vibration is a frequency. Frequency is a sound. So that is the sound, how we can tune into the sound of plants and use the sound of plants for healing. So when we tune into a plant, we're sensing its MAURI, we're sensing its life force, its vibration, its sound. And when we tune into it, sound is like a resonance. It becomes a resonance, and we're tuning in, and we're actually holding what we're trying to do is hold a note with the plant, or hold a tune with the plant. And you know, when you the oscillation of sound, when you play a sound, when you play a note, say like a C note, you can, when a C note is played, anything that's around it will oscillate to match that note, That is resonance. That is resonance, or entrainment as well. Entrainment. So if you're at a lower frequency, if you're not feeling very well and you're vibing low, or your vibe is low, your vibration is low, then if you came into contact with a higher frequency that you were resonating to, your frequency could potentially rise to meet that frequency. And this is how healing can take place. But in saying that, when you're not feeling very well and you're at a low vibe, sometimes it's okay to stay in that low vibe, because it's a processing time. I know there's a number of times where I've just I just want to go within and retreat and just be at not be high vibing all the time. I just want to retreat. And even people that are unwell, sometimes they need that processing time. They can't actually be around a high frequency or a high vibration because it's too much for them, and it's better sometimes for them to just be in where they are in that space, to come to terms with things and to process. And then when you're ready to sort of go back into the world, or reach for the light, that is when when you're ready, and you know when you're ready. So yeah, just wanted to share that. So it's okay to be in a low vibration, or just to bring your frequency down, just to process stuff, to be in that space. Sometimes just to be in that space. But if you're looking for healing, and when it's time for healing to take place, and you're wanting to raise your vibration, and you've got energy to get out into the universe or get out into the world and be part of it, and take some actions, that's when you can use sound or vibration to help you to raise your frequency, So plants can do this. They have a vibration, which is sound. And that sound, when you tune into it, is resonating to you for your frequency to come up to its frequency. So that's working with the sound through vibration. Another way to work with plants and their sound is through smell, through their scent. So I've got a beautiful kawakawa leaf here. It's slowly drying, but look at it. It's just, with all its holes, all its glory, it's here. So through the smell of a plant. So when you take a smell, when you have a smell of a plant, the smell goes into the body and can actually move into the body and move around and go where it needs to go. The smell. So you're breathing in the smell. And smell is vibration, once again, which is sound. So smell is another form of sound frequency that we can use to go for healing. This is why having flowers in the house, or being around flowers or beautiful smelling plants, can have an effect on you, because it's got this vibration, this sound that you can't help but resonate to. And even just looking at plants, even just visually looking at plants or flowers, you are being stimulated by their vibration. It's another form of sound coming into the body. It's having a profound effect on you when you're visually connecting to something of beauty, of a high vibration. When you're smelling the plant that's of a high vibration, it's having a profound effect on the body. The other form of sound through plants is through taste, of course. Taste. So when we taste something that's extremely bitter, for instance, that has a profound effect on the body, in that it has such an overwhelming vibration and sound within the body that it can actually make you shake. It makes you shake. And it's what it's doing. The bitterness, or the vibration of that bitterness, is shaking you to the core. So I usually call it like a widdy. So a vibration that's going through the body that is shaking you to the core and shifting things around. That is what bitterness does from a wairua perspective. It is moving things around, and sometimes it is good to have bitter in our bodies. It's good to have bitterness, and it's good to experience it rather than sweeten the bitterness, because we don't, our taste buds aren't palatable anymore to bitterness, to plant medicine. We need to sweeten it with honey or other things, or make syrups, and to make it easier. And that's fine. But that is fine, and especially for tamariki, for children, rangatahi who you're trying to get plant medicine into them. But for adults, to experience the bitterness of plants is something that we should all do, and just get used to this, get used to the sound of plants in our body, get used to that sound. The bitterness subsides. I know for those of you who are watching knows that when you've been drinking something bitter for so long, it actually subsides and it no longer becomes bitter. And that's because your body is cancelling out the bitterness, because your body probably no longer needs that bitterness anymore. It has done its duty. It's done its role of healing within the body. When there's a transition of taste, it means that something has happened in the body, and perhaps it's time to move on to something else, or perhaps to know when healing has completed. When healing has completed, this is very, very important to remember, is that we seem to be always on healing journeys. We seem to be always on healing journeys. And we must realize and acknowledge when healing has completed within the body, and knowing when healing has completed, and observing when it has completed. I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense for you, just to consider when you know that a healing has completed and you are no longer using plant medicine for rongoā to heal the body, but you're now using plants as a kai, or as something that you enjoy, that you can take regularly. So that's something really important to consider, and it's actually a really huge topic, and it's something that that we will go into. So when rongoā becomes kai and kai becomes rongoā, or when plant medicine becomes food and food becomes plant medicine, there is a difference, and it's all in the way that we relate to it, and all in the way that we think about it. So we have to know when healing has completed, when we no longer need the rongoā to provide us with what it requires. Rongoā has a role. It has a role, and in that role, it has a role, and in that role, we have to really appreciate its mana, appreciate, its MAURI, in what it does. It's another space, rongoā. So we do have to acknowledge when we have completed the healing process. Okay, gosh. Okay, Philippa, you're on here. So you've Aye. So Philippa's just asking, when you're on antibiotics and you start forgetting to take them because the healing is done, just in a rongoā sense. What I would say is, if you're forgetting to take something, then I would question why you're forgetting, first and foremost. So look at what's going on around in your environment, or what's going on around you, for you to be forgetting something. In a way, to a sense, I would look at that first. Why are you forgetting? And then I would look into, observe the body, monitor the body, and see whether healing has completed, or checking up with your practitioner and finding out, do you need to continue taking this medication, that kind of thing. So really observing your body. The first thing I always do, I question everything. I ask questions. I question everything. I question myself about everything. So if that's a great example, Philippa. If you're forgetting something, I question why. Why am I forgetting that? It's a knowing. When you know that you've completed something, it's a knowing. It's an intuitive knowing. But in saying that, if there's other viewers watching, I don't want them to get the wrong impression. I would consult with your practitioner as well. So I'll just put that there for you. So just coming back to the sound of plants. So there's an enormous way, a variety of ways of receiving the sound of plants. I remember I remember many years ago knowing that the plants had a sound, and I was up near north with my two sisters, Gabrielle and Marama, and we were in the Hokianga looking at kumarahau, and we had come across this ngahere, this forest of kumarahau, and you could, and as you know, you could hear their sound. They were all so happy, and you could hear the joy from the kumarahau. I mean, I know that when you're driving along, especially those up north, you're driving along and you see the kumarahau, especially when it's coming into its colour in the springtime, it's waving out to you. It's waving out to you, and you want to stop, but you can't pull over. That kind of thing. That is vibration. That is sound. They are getting your attention. It's a sound. The colour, the visual, it is a sound. And you can hear it. You can hear it. And if you just stop for a minute, you can tune in to what the message is. So we were up north and looking at this ngahere of kumarahau, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was like a symphony of sound. But when we tuned into particular kumarahau, the MAURI, right? The MAURI. When you sort of are tuning into the MAURI, you're hearing this sound. And we stopped and tuned. We sounded the note. So we had 3 different notes going on, and we sounded the note of these plants. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. So there was a bass note, there was a high note, and then Gabe came in with this beautiful oscillating note coming through. It was so beautiful. So just know, so there's this sound, the sound of plants. You can hear their music. You can hear the music when you really tune in. And that is what is healing us. That is what brings us joy. Just talking about it and remembering that brings me so much joy. It's just beautiful. So just wanted to share that kōrero with you, the sound of plants, just amazing. And that we can, just by tasting or just by smelling a plant, you can smell the plant and follow its scent going through the body. You can follow that. And if you're taking deep breaths, it will just keep resonating with you and moving to where it needs to go. It can also clear what it needs to clear. So the power in smell is profound. The power in smell is profound, as it is in the visual of looking at the MAURI. The visual of the colors. The colors have a sound. The colors have a sound. You can hear them. Some people can actually smell the color, can smell color. There is so much. This is using your strengthening your matakititanga, you're strengthening your intuition. And these are practices that you can practice with plants, and just using not just this, not just your whatu manua, not just your third eye, but using everything. There's an expression here. There is something here. When you smell, you can actually potentially make a sound of what it is. So you smell the smell of the plant, and then you can let out the sound. So physically do that. Physically let out the sound. So that you're resonating with the plant, and in physical, you're birthing it together in the physical world, in Te Ao Marama. Gosh, can you think of no better way to connect with a plant or to bring beauty and magic to its space by recognizing its magic, its sound, and singing with it, having a waiata with the plants. So I'm going to leave you on that note. 20 minutes, it's a long one this morning, but such a profound topic, and there's so much kōrero around that, and I love talking about it. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Ka kite anō.